of November 2023. I trust that you had a lovely weekend and you're ready for a new week this week. And joining, of course, us this morning on our Standpoint program here on Morning Prime will be Danson Mungatana, who is the Senator of Tana River. Also be joined by the Senator of Bomet. This is Hilary Segeo. Also Wilson Sosion, who is a politician, also will join us momentarily. And we shall be joined as well by Dr. Makalimulu, who is Member of Parliament for Kitui Central. We have a lot to discuss today, a raft of issues that we need to tease out as well regarding just the political tone and tenor of the country. And we also wanted to have a show with you. You can hit us on Twitter, which is formerly Twitter, I should say. Now it's X, at KT News, and at Dibalinair. You can follow me there. But let's see how the weather will be today. That's the weather. And the quote for today is from Farah Gray, who says, build your own dreams or someone else will hire you to build theirs. Build your own dreams or someone else will hire you to build theirs. That's what you need to ask yourself this morning. Are you going to build your own dreams today wherever you are going, or are you going to be building and strengthening the dreams of other people? So make sure you think about yourself. This is what Farah Gray is urging us or imploring us this morning. This is a Standpoint, and let me just show you what we have on the front page of our dailies today. Allow me to just scroll over to where the Standard is, where we begin with this particular splash on the front page of the Standard today. How not to bring down cost of living is what is on the front page of the Standard this morning. How not to bring down the cost of living. Economy experts fault the president's approach to taxation and cost of living, saying the policies will only sink the country deeper in mire and push many to avoid paying taxes, which will ultimately make life unbearable. You have the story on page 4 and 5 of the Standard this morning. And IBC also we can see here, just jump to the second page. Let me just go over there again. IBC reforms versus right of representation. At least 7 regions are scheduled to hold by-election. However, without a fully constituted electoral commission, Kenyans in these places go without a fundamental right. You can see some of the places that need the by-election. We have MP Kulu Hassan Malim, March 29, 2023. Banisa MP, United Democratic Movement. We have also Constance Shugula, August 25th, 2023. Taita Tavera nominated MCA. Some of the legislators who have passed on from the counties and also from the national assemblies. And these are the faces that needs, or the position that needs to be replaced, yet IBC is not in place right now as far as commissions are concerned. They're not really shaken into place. IBC reforms versus rights of representation. And also on the sidebar, NEP leaders, right, are calling for help amid flooding. Whereas the current rains have been downgraded from El Nino type. For Northeastern, they are causing a humanitarian crisis. You have a story on page 6 of the Standard this morning. And low sperm count, blame the phone. Globally, the quality of the sperm has been compromised. While this has been attributed to environmental factors, scientists are now saying mobile phone habits are to blame for latest drop. You can follow the story on page 2. This is page 3 of the Standard this morning. Also remember, your health and science bullet magazine comes in handy for you every Monday, and today is focusing on diabetes. I had to find a new way to live. You can read all about testimonials there on battling with diabetes. The winners and losers as dialogue team wraps up the story on page 2. Being a mother in Gaza, a matter of life and death. You can follow that on one pages of the Standard. It's a lonely walk for Arteta. And you can follow the story on page 31 of the Standard this morning. All right, best 150 MPs. Some of your faces are splashed here. Paul, it shows that bursary, school infrastructure, water, road and electricity connections cited by voters. That is what the flag is reading here. And you have a story on page 3 of the Daily Nation today. It says a majority of Kenyan think MPs have performed well since they were elected into office last August, with Kiharu MP leading Nyoro topping the charts according to a new InfoTrack poll. But what have these legislators done to rank highly? You have the story on page 2, 3 and 4 of the Daily Nation this morning. And they're listed here according to their constituencies. And we have Kiharu MP Nyoro leading there, Kangema, Peter Irungu. We have Ngembe South, Murigi John Paul, Mwingi Central, Gideon Mutemi, Wisero, Christopher Seka. We have Kadiani Mbui Robert. We have also Homa Bay Town, Kaluma Peter, Kitui Central, Makali Benson. Also we have Tetu, Geoffrey Wandeto, Kabete, James Gidua Kamau, and Changamwe Omar Mwinyi, among others. You can follow the story on page 3, where you can follow some of the names there that did well as far as legislation is concerned, or representation in the parliament is concerned, and the works that they are doing down in their respective constituencies. UK envoy, we're open to talks on reparations. The United Kingdom is open to discussions with communities that suffered at the hands of the colonial security apparatus for possible compensation. High Commissioner Neil Wigan has said. And we can follow this interview on page 7 of the Daily Nation this morning. 9 counties record surge in new HIV cases. That story tucked away on page 5. And 17,680 out of 17,680 new HIV infections among adults. 41% are aged between 25 and 34. That story, you have it on page 5 of the Daily Nation this morning. Looking on the sidebar, Kawira's moment of truth as Senate decides her fate. In battle, the Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza is facing a make-or-break week at the Senate as her 2-day impeachment trials start tomorrow. This story continues on page 6. Also, weatherman now warns of heavy rains in the country. The weatherman has warned Kenyans to brace themselves for more heavy rains for the next 3 months, warning of flooding and landslides in several parts of the country. That story, you can follow it on page 8 of the Daily Nation this morning. Let's see what the Star is holding for us. Big names miss out as MP Nyoro tops new ranking. There's a backlash there. MPs have previously accused pollsters of skewed polls. Infotrak report mentions only top half of performing lawmakers. And you can follow the story on page 4 and 5 of the Star this morning. State urged to act fast before lives are lost. So far, we have lost 17 lives to flooding and landslides. And you can see how devastation also still continues to rage on. Mother Nature's rage. Residents of Kageraini village in Kinangop constituency, we can see them assisting a disabled miner cross a flooded section of a road which has recorded heavy rains in the last 3 days. In this picture taken yesterday, and farm produce worth millions of shillings have been left to rot in farms due to flooding. You can follow the story on page 3 of the Star this morning. Azimio MPs back Kalonzo for 2027 polls. That is the story you want to follow. A section of Azimio MPs have rallied behind Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka to fly the coalition's flag in 2027 battle with President William Ruto. 8 legislators drawn from ODM, Jubilee and Wiper on Saturday drummed up support for the former VC, whom they termed the best bet or to unseat Ruto. The story continues on page 7. And man who's 70 gets his land after 10-year battle with 2 state agencies. You can follow the story of Beruk Sulum Hemed, who is 70s. And you can follow his story on page 9 of the Star this morning. No rift. We good. This is what DP Gachagua is saying, and is dismissing talks of fallout with Ruto. That story continues on page 7 of the Star this morning. Arrest exposes rot in police stations. This is all about graft. Anti-graft agencies swoop opens lead on routine arbitrary seizure and extortion of Kenyans over petty offences by chain of officers seeking promotions on basis of bribes collected for their bosses. You have a story on page 4 of the People Daily this morning. And we mentioned there 17 who were killed by heavy rains and 15 injured. You can see one of the ambulances there also stuck in a river. Maybe they were trying to cross that particular river there. You can follow the story on page 2. Leakage questions linger as 900,000 sit KCSE exams today. You can follow the story on page 8 of the Star this morning. And Helen Obiri severs glory in New York Marathon. You can read the story on the sports pages of the People Daily this morning. Wabunge wachapa kazi. Nyoro aongoza kitaifa huku Lesuda akitawazwa mbunge bora mwanamke nchini. And you can see some of their faces there. John Paul Mwirigi of Igembe South. We have also Igembe North there. We have Ndini Nyoro, Kiharu. We have also Omar Mwinyi, Changamwe, Samburu Magharibi there, Naisula Esuda, and the rest as well. You can follow the story on page 4 of the Taifa Leo this morning on the poll ranking of the MPs who have performed startlingly well. Chelsea na Spurs ni ngozi la kufa mtu. That is what Taifa Leo is saying. You can follow the story on page 20 this morning. Let's buckle down to some business where layoffs rise to COVID levels on higher taxes and fuel costs. 400 managers say job cuts are in response to low sales. 1.72 million workers lost jobs at the peak of the pandemic. Kenya's unemployment crisis deepened further in October after companies cut jobs at a rate last witnessed at the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, when businesses resorted to layoffs, salary reductions, and unpaid leave to stay afloat. And it says findings of Stanbic Bank Kenya's Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, based on feedback from about 400 corporate managers, suggest the jobs cuts were in response to flagging sales, which prompted a further downscaling of output levels. You can follow the story on page 2 of the Business Daily this morning. Also, 42% of foreign investors flee Nairobi Security Exchange in 9 months. Some 6,256 foreign investors fled the Nairobi Securities Exchange across 9 months. to the end of September. The exit, which is equivalent to 42% of the total foreign investors at the bourse, mirrors the sharp negative returns from the market, with the NSE market capitalization falling to 11-year low. You have the story continuing on page 2 of the Business Daily this morning. Also, how state agencies will share seized dirty cash. You can read all about it on page 4. Eateries cut back on outsourced delivery as they seek direct contact with customer. How costly inputs have chucked productivity in Kenya's agriculture. You can follow the story on page 14 of the Business Daily this morning. Let's move on and see what we have in Tanzania. Why Tanzania's economy is projected to grow by 6.1%. Looking all bullish and very sanguine. And that's country has also overtaken Kenya as far as the best investors hub or choice of investors is concerned. You can follow the story on page 2 of the Citizen. Upendo, your world is your bond. You can read all about this story of Upendo here on page 4 of the Citizen this morning. And Daily Monitor director arrested over defiling 6 P7 pupils. This is the headline in the front page of Daily Monitor in Uganda. And work on city roads, railway disrupt transport. You can see how also some roads have been blocked there. We now have suspects in Kagezi killing. This is what we're being told by the president there of Uganda. You can follow the story on page 5. Museveni's plan to lower cost of fuel. This is after, of course, Viton won that particular contract, and he has disengaged with the Kenya suppliers as well. And this is the upshot of it. You can follow the story inside the Daily Monitor. And how Uganda AGOA ban will impact EAC. The economic effects are focused to spill over to the regional trading partners as the value chains are heavily integrated. You have the story on page 4 and 5 of the East African this week. Why Kenya got cut off a Kampala oil supply deal. Uganda is upset that it was kept in the dark about the government-to-government deal with the 2 Gulf states. You have the story on page 34 of the East African. And China Daily, let me try and retrieve that. China Daily also is up here. Key global role for CIIE hailed. This is what President Xi is calling for, and is calling for international solidarity, dividends to be huge. This is what Premier Li is saying. You can follow the story inside the China Daily this morning. And too good to be true. The contradiction at the heart of a wild economy. Heart was about a Gaza ceasefire. We speak to Ukraine's top general, Donald Trump's awful tariff plan, and the promise of lab-grown embryos. And also the Newsweek is all focusing on Dolly Parton. I do what my heart is telling me on rock, rhinestones, and her genre-busting career. Now she'll be singing rock and roll. She'll be rocking and rolling. You can follow the story inside the latest edition of the Newsweek. At the time, is focusing on the 200 extraordinary innovations changing our lives. Right, groundbreaking venue sphere. You can read all about it also inside the Time magazine, Best Inventions of 2023. All tucked away inside there. And remember also, we're just giving you a pick-me-up word for the day. Build your own dreams, or someone else will hire you to build theirs. That is what we have today, just to encourage you. Allow me just to unveil my panelists this morning and to give them a hearty welcome. We have Dr. Makali Mulu, who is a member of Parliament Kitui Central. Also, we have Wilson Sosiana, politician. We'll be joined by Danson Mugatana and Hilary Segei as well, much later in the course of the program. Let me just hear from them. Hilary Segei will be coming later, and Danson Mugatana as well. Wilson Sosiana, he's here with us. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Deba.
Yes, we spoke, and your voice was a bit raspy.
Yes.
I wonder if it's a whiskey you've been taking over the weekend, or the champagne, or the vodka.
No, I don't take champagne. I'm a teetotaler.
You are?
Yeah, I play golf over the weekend,
and take juice.
It was raining, and I believe that must have attributed to the same. Mm-hmm. I think the greatest thing this morning is that Kenya is becoming a competitive and exciting destination for the international community. And as we speak, our hotels in Mombasa and Masai Mara seem to be fully booked almost up to April 2024. Those are excellent signs. Dibal and Nairobi is ranked as one of the most exciting destinations to be easily visited from across the world. So I think those are good signs of things to come. So I don't mind if my voice is lost. But there are more visitors in Kenya and the economy will revive, so be it.
Yeah.
And we've seen international dignitaries visit the country, and the latest being the King of the UK, where intensive activities within the city and at the coast. That is what we call icing of the developing good facts of a revival of Kenya as a tourist destination. And from the global standards, if a country can receive the number of visitors and tourists of half of its own population annually, then it will be able to move a great service industry. And I want to believe that the numbers will continue surging forward, and Kenya will be more organized. The counties will be able to organize the tourism products within their own counties, and we'll have a more elaborate infrastructure and transport network and security, so that then we open Kenya to the globe. We've seen also the efforts of the president of relaxing visas for many countries. This is already paying dividends, particularly from the source markets. And we've seen opening up of the skies by the president also, that now there are direct flights to the coast, particularly with other international carriers like Ethiopian Airlines and other international flights. So once the skies are open, we'll have a more convenient travel plan by the tourists to the different destinations of the country, particularly that of the coast. So those are good signs, and Dibal, I think from the perspective of tourism, we are good to go. And don't forget, I'm still the CS, Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage. Don't fear saying it.
I don't fear
matter
saying
is
it.
still under contestation in court. So
all right, but on that particular
Wilson
note,
Sosyan, the politician, Wilson Sosyan, the CS,
the CS,
Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage.
Until that is determined by the court, you still stand.
Until the courts determine otherwise.
All right, but also I wanted to bring you to your attention, Brother CS, that we had one Dr. Joseph Nzomio, who was an ex-central bank economist that has been appointed to be a board member of the United Nations World Tourism Organization. So you as a CS as well should take this opportunity and congratulate him.
That's an expanded network, because working within the network of the UN, because you must promote movement of people and security of people, and I think
so
that's a great advantage to the country, and it's quite welcome.
Right, it's quite welcome. And it's the first Kenyan.
Kenyans are the most competitive human resource across the world. That's a fact, and I'm sure my brother Makali will agree with me. And giving Kenyan opportunities anywhere and in any position in the world is a good thing. And that is why there is a Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Affairs, a state department dealing with diaspora matters. So he really joins the diaspora within the UN, so that, and then we urge everybody, every Kenyan should market Kenya, particularly those in the diaspora, those of us in Kenya, Makali, wherever you are, and all of us, let's market our country and make our country the most competitive destination, because it's a global economic hub, it's a communication hub in the region, and we are privileged to have a peaceful and democratic country.
Thank you. All right, let me just rope in Makali Mulu. It's good to see you that you are amongst the best of 150 MPs I thought Wilson Sissoon would have begun by that. I think standing up and giving a standing ovation and clapping for you.
Because you wanted to hear my voice, I must congratulate Makali Muli. I've known him. He's a respected debater in the National Assembly, a gifted leader, an honest man, and it isn't a surprise that he's ranking among the best members of parliament. But as you have seen, Ndindi Nyoro Kiharu, to me as an educator, he has done what nobody has ever thought of in this country, tiling and making our classrooms decent in the entire Kiharu constituency. And that goes with the global campaign that I participated in to ensure a quality learning environment. That is key. And
thank you.
Quality teaching.
All right, let's hear from the man himself.
But Makali, well done.
All right, Makali, 65%, 5% from the winning persons. So the winning person there, Ndindi Nyoro. How does it feel? That,
thank you, Liba.
With this ranking.
Liba, if you remember, the other day I was voted the best MP in the National Assembly. So this is just a confirmation that even the Kitui Central people are appreciating what I'm doing. But you know, you don't beat your own drums, so I will allow my friends to beat the drums for me. What I wanted to say basically is that the Ndindi is a good morning. We want to thank God for this morning, and I want to start by wishing well and best luck to Form 4 students who are now, from today, a bigger number is starting their exams. So I want to wish them well. Secondly, Dibao, I want to take this opportunity to sympathize with those Kenyans who have lost their lives through the floods. Last night I was watching the news and realized we are really losing lots of lives through flooding.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that is happening.
We'll discuss that a bit. Let me just...
we've been told we scale down the levels to... at the same time, when my friend lost his mother, I was out of the country, Dibao.
Yes.
So I was just telling him I want to continue praying for him so that he copes with that loss of a mother. It's not easy, Dibao, when you lose your parent. And I want to assure him of our prayers so that he copes with that situation. Dibao, interesting times. You'll be surprised about Dr. Zomoi, who you just mentioned. He's a good friend of mine. He's currently one of the administrators at Seku University. He was a class behind me when we were doing our masters at the university. So he has a history of working many students. He started with the Central Bank, lecturer. So now he's actually based in Kitui, and he comes from Kitui, which is my neighboring constituency. So I just want to take this opportunity to congratulate him for this international appointment, and wish that he will continue ensuring that the Kenyan flag continues to fly up there. As I do that, I want to congratulate our sister, Ombiri. You know, when I saw her close the finish line, I got very excited. We're just confirming that Kenyans, we are still champions when it comes to athletics. And we want to continue encouraging our athletics to continue working hard, ensuring that they do the right thing in terms of training and avoid the drugs. It's becoming a menace, so that we continue bringing these mentors home. But all said and done, good week. We hope the week will continue rains. As you company, we are doing very well. We are happy. Over the weekend, I didn't go to Kitui Center. I went to Mwingi North. And very impressive. You see the green.
We'll discuss about that because
very green. So we thank God for continued rains. And I can tell you for sure, we are planting trees. We are planting crops. So we're doing well and we're happy. All right.
Let's hear from also Senator Mungatana. Good to see you, Senator. I know you got a bit stranded this morning. I know. So did I. But finally here, I was a bit worried for you, but good to see you. Anyway.
Thank you. Thank you.
Long trip from Coast, where the president was. Of course, you'll tell us more on some very heavy deliberations there that you had, especially on the land issue. Now we know that there's some 1.5 billion shillings that has been set aside to purchase land and settle the squatters there. Kwabulo, you can tell us more about that as well. So latest development from your area, but you can take an opportunity to congratulate Honorable Makali for being among the best 150 MPs, according to Infotrack survey.
I have no doubt that Honorable Makali is a good man, and he has performed very well. In fact, we hear rumors that the people might upgrade him to be governor. So we wish him well, and this goes to show that he's a capable man. I also see our chairman of the parliamentary group, Coast Parliamentary Group, Danson Mwashako. He's also amongst the top performing members of parliament. And when you see that name Danson, pay attention. You know, I asked my mother why she called me that. Those people from Taita are my wajombas. They are my uncles. My mother comes from Taita. My dad is from Tana River, Poko.
Okay.
So she told me, long time ago, there was a big man called Danson. And actually, when I researched, I found out that he was one of the ministers, the first minister for lands, actually the first big position that Taita Taveta had. And so that's the reason that mothers and fathers who had dreams, they would name their children that.
That was a yardstick.
Yes. So if you have dreams for your son, you would be named Danson. So there I was. My mother had dreams. So I am a product of the dreams of a mother. And now I see my Mjomba MP, he's also doing very well. Honorable Mwashako, congratulations. He's also our chairman for the Coast Parliamentary Group. We elected him just the other day, and he's doing very fine. So I wish them well. Just to mention a bit about the president's trip, he just finalized it yesterday, and we are very grateful, the people of Tana River. He managed to open a very big project that we've been waiting for a long time. That is the Bura irrigation water gravity system. The scheme used to pump in 10 million shillings every month to pump water into the farms. Now with the gravity opened, it's going to be saving 120 million, and more water is going to go into the lands, therefore increasing the cropping area. Because right now they're doing 5,000, it's going to go all the way to 15,000, and this is going to increase employment. It's going to do a lot of other things. We also thank him for the mango factory that was commissioned. It has been operational, but with the new boost, he came in and he said that we are going to increase the infrastructure, and the team from the national are going to go there to increase the infrastructural capacity, so that when the mango season comes, farmers won't have to drive all the way to Mombasa to sell and have their mangoes processed. So these and among many other things, we are grateful for that trip. We've been with him since Wednesday. He has crisscrossed across the 6 counties of the coast. And we think we have the right guy. I've said here many times, I think we have the right guy committed to the job, and a person who has plans. And we all support his initiative so that we get this country moving again. And critically, you know, in the coast, he has revived something that every other administration has ignored: the blue economy, you know, the capacity to make money out of the sea. All the time, people have used those small boats, small things, to try and make a living out of that. The president has created, made available funds, you know, to create the fishing port at Shimoni. He's creating landing sites all the way from Lamu, Tana River, all the way down to Kwale, so that when the fishermen come, they are able to have a place to land their fish, and also cold rooms, you know, so that you are not forced to sell because the fish is going to get rotten, and then you get very little return for your hard work. They have capacitated beach management units. People are being given a lot of money. In Tana River, he gave 177 million to various units, so that those people can purchase equipment, they can purchase boats, they can do enough in terms of investment for the infrastructure to make sure that we're getting something from the ocean. I'm telling you, training 400 coxswain students for free, in every county that is facing the sea. We think that there is money there which we never, for a long time, that economy around the sea had not really been captured. It's just been about tourism and a little local fishing. Mm-hmm. Now we have serious investment. And when he was leaving, he told us that, you see, there are those big boats, we call them trawlers. They come from Japan, they come from, China. They actually they catch the fish, they process them, and they export them right from there. So the plan is, over time, we are also going to have those trawlers, mm-hmm. so that economy can start working. And more of our people are being trained, being capacitated. And now the blue economy is going to be real. So we are so grateful. Of course, you've mentioned the question of land, and the plan the president now has is, he says, I may not have all the money, but we must have the problem identified first, and then let's have the solution identified, and then let's have a plan to deal with this. So what is the plan? The landlords that we call absentee landlords, those who have the titles but they don't live there, maybe they've emigrated to Yemen or wherever they went, we're going to pay them. The government is allocating resources to pay them, and then resources to allocate the land to the people who are living there, so that the squatter problem becomes a thing of the past. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, but we are going to do it over a period of time. We have started with this gentleman. Let me tell you, because we have the chance, because of the positions our people elected us into, to sit with this president and talk to him, not as a friend but as president. And I'm telling you, the man has a plan, and that plan for us, it is working. So yes, people can say other things, what opposition, we have no problem with that. But this is a president that I think we need to support to see his vision actualized, right, for the sake of this country.
Okay, we'll come to that, of course, and follow the plan. Is it a smack dab in the middle of what you really wanted as the plan when you had that particular manifesto, or is it deviating from the plan, as it were? Things are changing and being tweaked along the way. But is there any reason why the president is particularly intent on the Kwabulo residents?
You see, Kwabulo is a very big area. The occupation there, the population is very high. It's very, very high. And again, there's no title. Okay, people are living there as squatters. So the plan in Kwabulo is the same. Like where there's an absentee landlord, we negotiate decent rate where we have a win-win, because you as a landlord, you can't come there and live there, and the people who are there, they don't have title, so they can't trade, they can't sell, they can't transfer, they can't even use that money, the asset, for economic transactions. So what we want to do, what I've seen the president plan is, we negotiate, and then we purchase the land, and then we allocate it the way it was done in the Waitiki farm. The Waitiki farm in the side of Likoni, when you cross the ferry, is also the very similar situation, where a man had a big land with a title, and there are all these court cases, and people are settled there. You can't live there.
Thank you.
So negotiations had to be done, and it was done successfully. We hope that it will be done in these other areas.
Right, thank you. Let's rope in Senator Hilary Sigei. He's been missing in action as well for quite a long time. The last time we talked with him, he was learning some Mandarin. Ni hao? So you've picked a smattering of ni hao from China. You can tell us your whereabouts. We've missed you, and where have you been so far? Welcome back.
Thank you very much. And I'll respond, Shisha. That is the sort of response that you would easily get when you are out there with that.
Again, I say it again.
Shisha.
Shisha.
Yes, shisha. And I want to thank you, Debal, for welcoming me once again. Thank you, the team that is also present today. I'm very sure they've kept the voice of the people with you, and also having a conversation going on in terms of what is going on and how we look forward to having a better Kenya. And so I'm very happy that I'm back, at least in the show today. And to begin, I would like to just say something out of your conversation with my colleague, Mlamamba here. You've talked about something to do with whether the plan has been tweaked or we are still on course. And the outright response to it is that we are on course, and indeed it's getting there. When Mugatana says we need to support the president, he's voting in confidence with the fact that the plan is ongoing and the driver is indeed making sure that the plan works. So the plan is there. It's part of that shisha, would say, out there. And part of my disappearance has been to see where we can support in our own individual capacity and in the positions that we hold, to make sure that we also serve the people of Kenya and bring down the cost of living. Just surprised how not to bring down the cost of living. It's not a best headline, but it's a headline that will trigger conversation from among us to interrogate what are these pros and cons in terms of bringing down the cost of living. I've just come back from my county Bomet, and I must be very honest, Dibal, that it is getting better by the day. That we must be very honest to ourselves. And this is because of what is cutting across. It can be in a very small way, but it is changing the lives of many people. There is a clip that has been going around by some comedians about who is Shuja. They're asking themselves, who is your Shuja? And they close by saying, my Shuja is the UHC fella that comes in to the house and begin to tell this guy that, look, I am going to help you because, number one, I'm in charge of 100 households. Number two, the guy was saying, the only check that I would want is a check that would give me money. But the fellow was saying, the only check that I have is I want to check on your vitals to make sure that you're healthy, because according to him, a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. And so we are progressing towards achieving. However, in a small way, we are headed there. We are on a very positive trajectory towards achieving what the plan is. And I'm one of those proud people to say that we can push the narrative towards the positive aspects of the growth and the development that we are having day by day, and aligning our politics to the politics of issues, the politics of service to the people, to the politics of how best we can bring this country locally, regionally, and globally to the status that Kenya is supposed to be.
All right. Even as the plan is shaking into place, President William Ruto is asking for patience from you as his government embarks to fulfill the promises that were made on the campaign trail. Speaking on the final day of his 5-day development tour of the coast, President Ruto equally assured coast residents that the Mombasa port would be privatized.
President William Ruto, who was on the final stretch of his 5-day development tour of the coast region, graced an interdenominational Thanksgiving prayer in Mombasa, where the issue of unfulfilled promises by the Ruto administration took center stage. Ruto, who took oath on September 13, 2022, and ascended to power on the basis of what was called the plan, has been on the receiving end of a bulk of unfulfilled promises so far. On this day, the message of patience as the essence of growth echoed as Kenyans were urged to give the government time.
Shida kubwa tulio nayo Kenya, hatutaki kugoja. Tunataka kila kitu haraka haraka. Uoe leo upate mtoto leo. Ahadi zote Either ni za Mungu au ni za serikali, ni rais aliweka, dawa yake goja.
Vile nimeahidi wa Kenya, we are going to work together with all leaders. Leo tumekuwa na mkutano na governors wote na mabunge wote waliokuja, kwa sababu pia na sisi tunatafuta hiyo umoja, one accord, ndio tuweze kutimiza malengo ya taifa letu.
President Ruto equally adding his voice to the Dongokundu Special Economic Zone compensation process as he ordered for the revaluation of beneficiaries to ensure only genuine people are compensated. Ruto equally assuring that the Mombasa port will not be privatized.
Tumekubaliana hakuna port itabinafsishwa ama itafanywa kuwa private ya watu fulani. Hiyo tumekubaliana. Tunaelewana? Yale mpango ya zamani ya privatization na kubinafsisha port haitafanyika chini ya uongozi ya serikali mimi naongoza.
The president, who was last in the coast region in July this year, equally spoke about the steps taken to boost the education sector in the coast region.
Tulitoa nafasi kama 5,000 ya waalimu kuajiriwa hapa pwani. Lakini nafasi hizo zote hatujazikamilisha kwa sababu tuko na shortage ya waalimu hapa pwani. Adhuhuri ya leo naenda kufungua chuo ya mafunzo ya waalimu hapa Kwale. Tunataka waalimu zaidi waje pale tuwafundishe ili waende wafundishe watoto wetu katika vijiji na mashule yetu kule mashinani.
The interdenominational service held at Mamangina Waterfront, Mombasa, saw various government leaders and members of the clergy converge. Later, the president wrapped up his tour with an inspection tour of various projects, including the Kinango Technical Training Institute.
All right, the port of Mombasa has been a very hot button issue, Dr. Bakali, and it seems now the government is buckling down and circling back on what was previously the main intention to privatize the port of Mombasa. From a 3-hour discussion, I think this is now the final discussions that, all the final solution that they have made. Danso Mungatana, you were there, and I know this debate has been largely between some of the leaders there, the residents. There was no public participation, but this was the intent of the government from the beginning. I wonder why they've turned back. Is it now they're listening, or is the center also listening to the periphery, finally?
Thank you, Dubal. Maybe before I come to the port, let me just make a comment on this plan. And I want to inform my colleagues, the two senators, that Kenyans have never doubted that there is a plan at all. So every Kenyan knows there is a plan because this plan was presented during the campaigns. What Kenyans are concerned about is the implementation of the plan. And I can say without any fear of contradiction that in year one, which has just ended, implementation of this plan has faced serious challenges. And that's why you see, if you look at the highlights of the plan, I think it's about only 3 areas where the plan has performed well. And I'm sure if my colleagues took time to read the papers yesterday, it's a summary of how the plan has performed. Mm-hmm. And one of the 3 areas where they have done very well was the area of employment of teachers, the issue of fertilizer. There was a 3rd one. But I think the key ones, where Kenyans are very concerned, they have performed very poorly. One of them is the issue of the cost of living. The other one is the issue of the public debt. The 3rd one is the issue of corruption. These are areas where the plan had come out very clearly to say that they will be working on it. And I think this is an area where they are facing serious challenges. So what I would say is the issue of the plan, we wish them well because they still have about 3 years to go before we get to politics again. But I think they need to fast track the rate of implementation. That's an area they need to look at. Otherwise, it will be difficult to achieve what was promised to Kenyans. On the issue of privatization, Dibal, you are aware we passed the privatization law the other day. I'm actually the vice chair of the Committee on Public Data and Privatization. And initially, we thought that law would be coming to our committee, but the Speaker did a ruling to send that law to Finance Committee. Parliament has not passed the law. Initially, the planning was privatization. But now, I think they have gone out to issue of, is it leasing or what? Leasing for some time and then back to Kenya. Because if you look at what the President said yesterday, he told the cost of people that we are not going to privatize the port, but we are going to come up with a program of managing the port so that instead of collecting 20 billion per year, we push it to about 120 billion in a year. To do that, then we would want to invite investors who are now coming from outside. And this is not new. It is, I think it's happening in the port of Dar es Salaam. They are much more ahead of us. What is happening is they are going to give this port to external investors to manage for a specific time of for a period, some specific period of time. And I think what is going to happen is at that time, Libao, we might not want to tell Kenyans, but at that time, it's just as good as privatization. It's only that you'll have given it for a specific period of time and then it reverts back to the government. But the truth of the matter is, in terms of management and all what is going to be collected there is going to be in private hands. And that's basically what we are saying, that let's tell Kenyans the truth. It's good that the coastal leaders were able to sit down and give their input into it. I'm sure they could have negotiated, more like they have just negotiated for a share out of a higher share in terms of what will be coming from the port to be retained at the cost. But at the end of the day, they have also agreed that this is going to go to private investors for purpose of management. I don't think that we are going to see the government and you know that what is happening the way it is today. So you might call it privatization, you might call it leasing, you might call it concessioning, whatever terminology you use. But the truth of the matter, the basic principle is going to be in the hands of a private investor for some period of time.
All right, so let's hear from Wilson Sosion. So it's a matter of semantics. The privatization concession is still more or less, as Dr. Makale is putting it, is still go to the hands of private investors, so to speak, in terms of running the affairs of those ports.
Well, but you see, reforming the management system is more of a strategy than handing over and privatizing the port. If you look at the scenario that existed prior to 2022 general election, was actually privatizing the port and selling out to some unknown outsiders in Dubai. But the new strategy that the president has pronounced, and first, number one, reverting the port services from some dark places in Naivasha to Mombasa, was the most important strategic step that the president took to save the coastal economy and that of the port operations around Mombasa town. That is score number one. And I am sure you can see indicators. The economy is coming back to life in Mombasa. Number two, reforming the management system through incorporation of other contract services. It's a normal practice in the modern corporate world. Outsourcing services is a common thing that is done by many entities. And that does not mean it's handing over or selling or privatizing the port. It remains as the property of the people of Kenya, and particularly of the people of the county of Mombasa. That remains a fact. And if the strategy is to revamp the revenue collection from 20 million to 120 million per year, it's making the port competitive, because Mombasa Port is an entry point to East and Central Africa. And even with the expansion of the standard gauge railway into Uganda and to DR Congo, Mombasa Port is going to be a competitive port that will even join the standards of Singapore. And in terms of management, it's upgrading the management system of the Port of Mombasa to meet with the international standards of ports and harbors operation. I think this is just a strategy of management, which does make a lot of sense. And any institution or any entity can be, the services of operation can be outsourced in any manner, provided the procedures are within the law. That aside, back to the plan. I wish to report to what...
we'll come to the plan briefly.
Yes.
So, we will come to it because it will be largely a chunk of our discussion as well. But let's hear from...
And so generally, looking at the coastal economy and strengthening the ports operation, this is going to trigger further economic growth within the blue economy network across the entire coast. So we are not only talking about the port of Mombasa, we're talking about the port of Lamu, and we're talking about the exploitation of the resources in the ocean within the framework of the blue economy. We cannot have outsiders coming to troll and exploit our ocean resources when you can as well do it ourselves. So I think within 1 year, the activities and operations of reviving the blue economy and making our ports efficient and making all our coastal towns economically viable has been achieved with distinction by the president and by the government.
Thank you.
And by the way, that is part of the plan.
That's part of the plan.
So it's a good score.
Right, thank you. Let's say from that particular meeting, you had a 3-hour meeting where you're discussing also the port finally, and you happen to also be the former chair of Kenya Ports Authority. So this, what between concessions and privatization, what is in between? What was the argument?
You know, just let me give you the facts. The port, in fact, the Mombasa port is the biggest employer, one single employer in the entire coast region. When I was chairman, we were doing 8,000. The current chair, Mheshimiwa Benjamin Tayari, informed the meeting that they are doing 7,000 employed people. Okay?
7,000.
Yes, so across the entire coast, you either have a cousin or someone who is somehow connected to the port directly or indirectly. The other thing that the president informed that is that he is collecting, in terms of taxation, 2 to 2.5 billion every year. Okay? Now, the potential in that place is to collect 25 billion in 1 year in terms of taxes. That is if you combine the port of Mombasa and the port of Lamu. Now, the whole thing is, he posed the question to us, so I can report directly, that the first executive order I gave to keep my elections promise was to return the port operations from Nairobi back to Mombasa. And you people cheered. But is that enough? My plan was just not to return it and leave it where we were. We must develop the full potential of this coast, make it more efficient, of this port, make it more efficient, make it more business friendly, and the entire infrastructure developed in such a way that we don't lose business, because already we are losing business to Dar es Salaam port. So what is the plan? The plan is we have capacity to create 50,000 jobs, not the current 7,000, 50,000 jobs in that place. But we have to get the special economic zone in Dongokundu done. And then we have to connect the systems all the way to DRC, you see, so that our importers are able to do, to get their goods where they need to get them as fast as possible. Now, concessioning and privatization. Privatization would mean you've lost the port. That, the president said, is out of question. Concessioning means Mombasa port is at a very strategic, located at a very strategic area along the coast of Africa, the entire African coast. We have Mombasa, we have the port of Beira, and we have Durban. If you look in terms of the international or global trade routes, so we have capacity to develop it. But for us to get it done, we have to invest billions of shillings to reach where it's supposed to do, where it's supposed to reach. It's just like any other business. If you want to expand equity into DRC, into Burundi. You have to invest. Now, Equity happened to have the money to invest, so they expanded. Now, government of Kenya doesn't have the money. We are squeezed for credit. So we have to ask for partners, people in business who can see the potential and who can put in the money to invest in this whole concept that includes the special economic zones that will be created, so that we create a mini Dubai. In other words, a place where people can come buy and sell and do all these things without a problem. And this is part of the plan. So the concessionaire will be told, we have an area for development of special economic zones. We have here, we have Lamu, and then this has potential to link all the way to DRC. So when he comes, he's putting his 10-20 billion in this job, but he knows his returns will be 30-40 billion. So this is where we are going. And I was personally very opposed to the whole privatization thing, and I made it known. I even made it known to the boss. But from the discussions we have had and the engagement we have had, it's not the pot that is going to be lost to, our inheritance are lost completely, because this is like taking the entire tea industry into a hand of a private owner. But we are saying we are bringing someone who is going to pump in a lot of money and is going to do business in a sustainable manner. We are bringing in someone who knows he knows his numbers, and he has been all over the world. So it will be an international tender. Mm-hmm. The concessioning will be done in a clear, transparent way. And what the president told us, he said, nobody should imagine that this is going to be one of those things you do so that one or two people can short circuit the system and they benefit. No. Mm-hmm. The people who are going to benefit first, the people of coast, and the Republic of Kenya. So I think this thing, for most of us who are there, we have seen it from a different angle. And for most of us who are there, we believe that once these investments start coming in, once the processes are done, following the proper legal framework, we are going to have a more efficient port than the way it is now, and it's going to be international. And we are going to have more opportunities to trade, more opportunities to employ, more opportunities to raise taxes for economic development.
Right. All right, we'll hear from Hilary Sigay from the other side of the break as well. Also, there seems to be a rift in Rift Valley as far as the politicians are there are concerned with the development projects. Also, we'll delve deeper into that, and Honorable Sigay will be able to chime in as well. We'll take a short break. You're watching Standpoint here on Morning Prime. When we circle back, we'll continue with more, interrogating also what we have in the dailies, especially on the rising of the layoffs that is now neck and neck, or even above that, of 2020 regarding the COVID-19, the layoffs there, and right now what also the employers are putting out, that job cuts are in the offing, and we have 400 managers saying job cuts are in response to low sales, and also we have 1.72 million Kenyans who are laid off in 2020. So is the plan also really addressing this issue of layoffs as we know it? Because this is pegged on higher taxes and fuel costs as well. We'll take a short break.